Democratic Party presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has called on security personnel deployed for Saturday's rescheduled presidential and National Assembly election to uphold the Constitution and be professional in discharging their duties. Abubakar made the call at the 84th National Executive Committee meeting of the party held in Abuja. He urged all security agencies to uphold the country's constitution with an understanding that voting was a civil activity and civil responsibility.
My concerns do not end there. Only yesterday, General Buhari said, and I quote, "The military and police should be ruthless." And I quote again, "Anybody who disturbs the voting system will do it at the expense of his own life." And I quote, that is General Buhari. It is quite shocking for any head of state to utter such words in a democracy. And we will not accept it from General Buhari in this country. We have fought more ruthless dictators than himself. Quoting from former President Jonathan Goodluck, that my ambition, and I quote, is not worth the blood of any Nigerian. That man is a great man. Today I call on President Buhari to make that same commitment to the people whose mandate he holds, while also urging all security agencies to uphold our Constitution with an understanding that voting is a civil activity and civic responsibility. The Nigerian military is constitutionally responsible for protecting our territorial integrity and national borders and has no role to play in the conduct of elections.
National chairman of the party, Uche Secondus, and other speakers at the meeting commended all its members across the nation for making the party campaign successful despite limited resources and harassment.
That day, there will be no more postponement. We believe in PDP that we are law-abiding, but we will never allow anybody, because we know the law, the Constitution is there, allow anybody to trample on our Constitution, on our rights. You cannot trample on our rights.
That that instruction to go and kill, we will revisit it when we come to government too. Take note very clearly, life is sacred. If you kill anybody, this government, incoming government, will not allow you to go. So don't take authority to end your life in prison. We want to appeal to everybody here present that when we get to our various states, we should tell our people to ignore that order. That order will not stand.
Power comes from God Almighty. He gets to do the business and take it away from the business. I have a good feeling and belief that Nigeria and Nigerians want to make brothers together.
In congratulating our party for the excellent campaigns that we conducted in the last few months. Our party has been accepted, we have seen it, we felt it, and we know victory is our own, inshallah.
As a matter of fact, the president is his own constituency. And that is why he's going to lose this election. Because he has deserted the people that brought him, and the people that brought him have deserted him.
The party, however, noted that the postponement was a sign that PDP would be victorious on Saturday's poll. In Abuja, LM Chukwemeka reports.
As part of efforts to ensure that no Nigerian is disenfranchised during the forthcoming rescheduled general elections, President Muhammadu Buhari Tuesday held a security meeting with service chiefs and governors of Borno, Adamawa, and Kaduna states at the Aso Presidential Villa, Abuja. Briefing State House correspondent after the meeting, Governor of Kaduna State Nasir El-Rufai says the meeting was called to make sure that there is enough military presence in states prone to electoral violence to ensure safety of lives and properties during the forthcoming elections.
Across the states, we are ready for elections. We do not believe that the level of security challenges will preclude elections not taking place all over our states. Of course, in the case of Borno State, other than 1 or 2 local governments that may vote outside of their immediate domain, every voter in Borno State will vote in his local government. In Kaduna State, we requested for enhanced military presence in particular locations that are either afflicted by rural banditry. These are the local governments of Birnungwari, Giwa, and Chukun, and areas where there has been a history of either electoral violence or ethno-religious intolerance. We've already mapped out local arrangements with the garrison commander and the commissioner of police. We have made adequate arrangements to ensure that every citizen of Kaduna State will be free to vote in an atmosphere of peace and security. And we got assurances from Mr. President that whatever security assets we need, additional to what is already on ground, to ensure that there are peaceful and hitch-free elections on Saturday, those assets will be provided.
The controversial governor who was in the news recently concerning killings in Kajuru in Kaduna State said those saying that he is negatively targeting Christians-dominated areas in the state are just expressing the pigment of their imagination, noting that he has developed his skin over such accusations.
Anyone that knows me or knows my record of public service knows that I take every assignment I am given or I find myself seriously. So I will not even respond to that inanity. I have a record. I'm not coming out of public for the first time. Go and check my record. I do my work seriously, and I do it with objectivity, okay? And anyone that knows me too will know that I'm not stupid. If I pick a ticket, it's because I am sure the ticket will win. So all those speculating on this should first go and look at the previous elections, look at the number of votes those that are shouting have, okay, and what I got in the last election, and we had local government elections recently. So I'll not comment on that, all right? And if there is any governor that is out on the street whenever there is security challenge in his state, it is Nasir El-Rufai. So anybody that says I am dealing with this differently from previous crises is either irresponsible, a damn outright liar, or just being mischievous. I take the responsibility of security of lives and property in my state very seriously. I put my life and myself on the line to ensure that, and I'm very visible about it, and I take every human life in my state seriously. You can say whatever you want, you are entitled to your opinion, but it does not tally with the facts. However, let us talk on the 11th of March. That's when, by God's grace, the election results will be out if INEC does not postpone again.
On his part, the Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima reiterated his commitment to the security of lives and properties in the state, noting that the recent attack on his convoy will not deter him.
Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. I am the chief security officer of the state. I should have the courage. And believe me, it's not that I am not petrified, no. Mark Twain said courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act in spite of it. As the chief security officer of the state, the day I say I cannot go to a certain part of the state because of insecurity, then what sort of confidence are you inspiring on the common man? And the Boko Haram bask in the oxygen of publicity by attacking my convoy, by targeting my person. They have gotten the much needed boost. But then, as they said, if you can't withstand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Leadership requires courage, I will go back to Gamborungala next week. I'm ready to pay the supreme price if needs be. And I will not go in a bulletproof car. I will go in a normal car like any other members of my convoy and expose myself to all the risks that they are bearing for me to be protected.
The security meeting was well attended by service chiefs, ministers of defense, interior, secretary to the government of the federation, and the chief of staff to the president. From Abuja, I am Festus Ejiroge Nefifen for Ben Television.
The coalition of United Political Party has alleged that the Department of State Service is tapping the telephone conversations of opposition parties members in the country. He said the conversation, which were mainly opposition strategy for the forthcoming elections, were being made available to the leaders of the ruling All Progressive Congress. The coalition national spokesman, Imo Goshiri, made the allegation in a statement in Abuja. He said, "We wish to express our shock and disappointment with All Progressive Congress and the unscrupulous security agencies who we discover are tapping our leaders' call and leaking our electoral strategy. The opposition has uncovered constant tapping of our call and location making by the ruling party using the DSS. Ugoshi Yere therefore called on the opposition member to abandon telephone conversation and adopt physical meeting or make use of WhatsApp platform."
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has confirmed that it has achieved 95% configuration of the smart card readers to be deployed for the presidential and National Assembly elections on Saturday. Addressing newsmen in Abuja on the Commission preparations for the postponed national elections in Abuja, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu promised that the configuration of the card readers would be completed today.
I want to report that as at last night, we have achieved 95% configuration of the 180,000 smart card readers, and this process is going to be completed early morning on Wednesday, clear 1 day ahead of schedule.
He noted that the state offices has also commenced the process of inviting stakeholders to the central bank to examine the materials recorded from last week, as well as to witness the departure of materials to local government areas, which he said had been completed.
No commissioner of the commission was picked up by any security agency. No house of any commissioner of INEC was raided. No any commissioner of INEC has been picked up by the security agencies. The particular commissioner you're referring to, whose name was mentioned in the social media, is, as we speak, in his office in the commission.
He used the occasion to talk on the recent speculations that one of the national commissioners and some directors in the commission had been arrested by a security agency of the government.
The commission is unaware that any of our result sheets have gone into the wrong hands. Yes, we agreed that we deployed on Saturday, but we recalled the sensitive materials and returned them to the vaults of the central bank. To ensure the integrity of the process and the audit that I promised stakeholders on Saturday, we dedicated today in all the states of the Federation to confirmation and verification of the materials returned to the central banks by political parties and other stakeholders before we begin deployment to the local governments from tomorrow. And it's not only the EC8A. EC8A is the result sheet for the polling units. We have the result sheets for collation at different layers of collation. We have the B for ward level, we have C for local government level, we have D for either state or constituency collection, and then we have E for declaration.
In Abuja, LM Chukwemeka reports.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo have been accused of to jeopardize the forthcoming presidential election in favor of the People Democratic Party (PDP) by conniving with some officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). Some concerned stakeholders under the auspices of National Front of Nigeria made this strong allegation in a press conference in Abuja. Nigerian presidential and parliamentary elections suffer a huge setback after the electoral body confessed to lapses in logistics as well as plot by same group to hijack the exercise. According to NFN President Abubakar Tissav, a former public commissioner of the Federation, Obasanjo was in forefront in compromising the entire process.
In damaging ways, it is expected that they will not have cause to lament should matters come to that. We warn that the postponement of the election has not discouraged these mischief makers. They will exploit the other fallback options as they continue to try to hijack power without winning elections, which would cause crisis in the country. Nigerians and the federal government must therefore not let down their guards, as the danger has not passed but only retreated to mutate into something more evil than its previous option.
Tissav added that the ex-president have finalized plan to rig the election with the support of court Atiku Abubakar, the PDP presidential candidate, and Governor Yusuf Wike of Rivers State.
The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, says that the force is ready to enforce the directive given by the President concerning anyone that tries to disrupt the voting process in any of the elections that will be conducted in the country. Briefing State House correspondent after a security meeting with the President, the police board said Nigerians should avoid all forms of violence before, during, and after the polls.
We've deliberated on the consequences and came up with the resolve to further provide adequate security within the country so that the electorate will come out and cast their vote without any fear of molestation. So every Nigerian is encouraged to come out on the election day and cast his or her vote without any fear of molestation. The security personnel are ready and prepared to protect everybody. Anybody that feels that he can come out and disrupt the process, he should have a rethink, because that situation will not be allowed. If you plan and allow yourself to be used as tout, if you come out, whatever happened to you, you take it. Ballot snatching, ballot buying, forgery will never be allowed. Anybody that is planning to snatch ballot boxes or is planning to be allowed to use as a tout will have himself or herself to blame on the election day. So you better don't even allow yourself to be used.
Though the controversial directive has raised a lot of concerns among political analysts, but the ruling party believes that those opposed to it have ulterior motives. From Abuja, I am Festus Ejiroge Nefifen for Ben Television.
The Nigerian High Commissioner to Ghana, Ambassador Michael Abikoye, has protested the inhuman treatment of Nigeria by Ghana Immigration Service with the deportation of 723 Nigerians between 2018 and 2019. Abikoye said this at a meeting between him and the Comptroller General of Ghana Immigration Service, Kwame Takai, in Ghana. The High Commissioner said 723 Nigerians were deported on alleged illegal stay, cybercrime, prostitution between January 2018 and January 2019. According to him, 81 Nigerians were deported on alleged cybercrime, illegal stay in January, while 115 have so far been deported on allegation of overstay and prostitution. The candidate of Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, Abda Usman Abubakar, known as Young Alaji, who amongst other three contestants battling for the position of the former Senate President David Mark at the upper chamber of National Assembly, has urged the people of Benue South Senatorial District to cast their votes for candidates with development track records. Young Alaji, who has contested for the Benue South Senatorial position for 4 times, all the people to use yesterday to judge all the contestants who are vying for the Senate position in this Benue South. Comparing his co-contestant, he said if David Mark has been insensitive to the people's plight as senator in 20 years, then former Minister of Interior Abba Moro, who served as Director General of David Mark Campaign Organization 2007, 2011, 2015, and also vying for Senate position against him under the platform of PDP, could not be said not to be part of David Mark's insensitivity to the plight of the people of Benue South. In addition, he said Stephen Lawani, who served as Deputy Governor to Gabriel Suswan under the platform of PDP, has nothing to show as his development legacy for his people. Speaking further, he said Chief Mike Okibi Onoja has also served as permanent secretary in both military and civilian government, yet no track record linked to him. Young Alaji further posited that among the 4 contestants, he was the only one that has not served in any public office but has verifiable developmental track record in the zone. He therefore admonished the people to shun money back politics but to cast their vote for a visionary leader.